this is Magnar and welcome back to my modding tutorial series for Rome 2 Total War. In this episode I'm going to show you how to change or increase, decrease, whatever you want, unit sizes for a large number of units, taking into account all the various factors when it comes to changing unit sizes, like the different ways that chariots versus mounts are dealt with, and changing it for the war dogs or other animals you want to attach, stuff like that, whether it's naval or non-naval. And just do a quick copy and paste once you've done all your formulas. Yeah. So to do that, I'll be using a spreadsheet. This one I'm going to be using OpenOffice for this because it's free. You can also use Excel or another kind of spreadsheet that you have, and it'll be pretty similar method. If you've been following the tutorial series, you will have seen the main units table. In the main units table there is the column number of men, and that is where the number of men in a unit is determined. There's also max number of men per ship and minimum number of men per ship, and of course number of ships, which can all be taken into account when increasing unit sizes. Because we only have 3 units in this tutorial series, I'm going to actually add the table from vanilla and work on changing all those unit sizes instead, to show you how to do it for a large number of units all at once. Because just to do it for 3 units, it's probably much quicker to do it without using a spreadsheet. But if you want to do it for all the vanilla units and all your units, then yeah, that'll take a lot longer. So best to do it this way. So let's add the main units from vanilla to start off with, and there it is. Save that, and I'll rename that as always. So mag shoot, and so I know that it's the vanilla table. I'm going to just type vanilla in there as well. Now I'm going to grab this line here, all the number of units in each unit there, and I'll just paste it, click so Control C and then Control V into here. And the first consideration will be whether it's a naval unit or not. So to determine that, I'm going to select all this column here is naval, tick being for when it is a naval unit. You can see here that the ones without ticks have transports, ships assigned to them. The ones with ticks have other kinds of ships assigned to them. So they're naval only units, specific naval units versus infantry that can get on transports or cavalry. So I'll copy that as well, and I'll paste it right next to it so that it lines up with what it actually is. So you can see 80, no tick, no tick, no tick. Oh, sorry, I'm at the wrong end. So you can see here 80, 160, 160, no tick, no tick, tick. 80, 160, 160, no tick, false, false, true. Next thing I'll do is I'm going to set up a couple of variables. The first one will be variable, which is just is naval, and here I'm going to put in true. Or in here, if I just put true, it's going to be like that. Or I can even just go equals this, which is probably safe. Actually, no, don't do that. Let's just put in true. And here I'm going to put in how much I want to increase the unit sizes by if they're not naval units. So let's go multiplier and just double it for this episode. Oops. So what I'm going to do different here is I want the naval units to only have 1 ship, because that makes them more maneuverable and better at sea. But if I double the unit sizes for them, then half of them will be stuck under the ground and it'll cause issues. Similarly with the land units, I don't want those, if I only give them 1 ship, then only half of the unit, if the unit is double sized, will be able to fit on that 1 ship, and the other half will be under the water somewhere. So to avoid that, I need to give all the land units 2 ships instead of 1, and keep all the naval units to just ×1 unit size and not increase their unit size. If you've worked with spreadsheets before, I'm sure you know how to set up those formulas, but for those that haven't, I'm going to do that for you now. Okay, so first thing, we're going to check if the unit is a naval unit, and we do this with the formula if. So go equals if, open brackets. Now we're going to check this cell, so click on that, equals this cell. To make sure that when we drag all these formulas down, to make sure that it's always checking this one cell, we'll also put in the number sign before the 2, and if you want you can put it before the G as well. Okay, so that's our test. Now we'll put in the semicolon. If you're using Excel, you just put in the comma. So now the next part we're going to do is if it is true, which means if this unit of this line is a naval unit, then we don't want to increase the size. So we'll just click that cell. So if it's not a naval unit, sorry, if it is a naval unit, the new size of the unit will be the same as the old size. So just click that, then separate again the semicolon or comma for using Excel. Now if it's not a naval unit, we want to increase by 2. So we can click on there again and then times by our multiplier cell here. I do this so that you can play around with how big you want your size. I mean, you could just put it directly in the formula ×2, but doing it this way means you can play around with it a bit. And again, just like we did with this cell, when referencing this cell, we put the number symbol in front of the 2. And then we can close the brackets off. And there we go. Ooh. Yeah, okay, so it's not a naval unit, so it has been doubled. And that's what we expect to see. We expect to see for this line, though, that it will also stay at 160 and not be increased. So if we go down, and there we can see it's 160. So the formula is working. And now we can just drag it down for all the other values. The next thing we want to do is determine if the unit uses 2 ships or 1. And to do that, it's a similar thing as we just did before. We can just test if this new calculated value is the same as that, or we can just test if this is true or false, which is probably easier. So let's just go if, again, equals first, equals if, open brackets, that equals, oh, we can't get to that, can we? That, put in the number signs, and then the currency sign, $sign, separator. If it is a naval unit, we want 1. If it isn't a naval unit, we want 2. Close the brackets, and there we go. Again, we can just drag that down. And now we can just copy paste. So let's select all this column here, all the numbers in there. We'll go to the top of here, the number of men, and just Control V to paste it in there. You can see that the naval ones have not been changed and the non-naval ones have all been changed because they're red. And we'll do the same thing again for the number of ships. So Control Shift down is the quick way to select it all. And we'll go to the top of the number of ships column and paste it in there as well. Now we can save that. There's one other thing you might want to do in here is when changing unit sizes and you want to play a campaign game, if you make the size anything except for ultra size, then it will automatically recalculate all the starting unit sizes. So what that means is, if you want to have, say, 1.5 times. You want to have ultimately 1.5 times of everything, but you want to keep your naval units as big as possible without needing 2 ships. You want to have your naval units multiplied by you want to have you keep your non-naval units at 2 times, but you'll need to change the size of your naval units so that they remain at the 160 when you go to large, as opposed to also being reduced to the 1.5 times. So I might explain that better. If you have 2 times unit sizes and you use the ultra setting, then your infantry will be 320, like here. And using what we've done here, your naval would be 160. So we go land, naval. If you use large unit sizes, then it's only 1.5 times instead of 2. So to calculate the size that it will be, I don't know what's going on here. Okay. To calculate the size that the large unit sizes will be, you can multiply the size above by 0.75. So you go equals that times 0.75, and your new land sizes will be 240. Drag that across, and so the new naval size would be 120. But we want to keep that as maximum as we can, right? So that we don't put the naval ships at a disadvantage. So what we want to do for the naval ships is we want to increase it. Okay, so if you want to play a game that way, by automatically converting all the starting unit sizes by playing on large, I don't know why it might, then we will, instead of here just using the base size, we'll divide the base size by 0.75. Here we multiply the ultra by 0.75 to get what the new one is. So to do reverse, we'll divide the base one by 0.75. So let's go there. Divide. We can change our formula directly in here. So A1 divide by 0.75. Great. Oh. And you can see that it's going to have a number usually with decimals. You can't copy and paste the decimals into here because it'll put up an error, because it doesn't expect that kind of number. So we also have to put another formula in there called trunctuate, to get rid of all the decimal points. So let's put in that in. TRUNC, open brackets, and then we don't want to have any decimal points, so we can put 0 after that. So the formula for trunc is the value, and then the semicolon or comma if you're in Excel, and then the number of decimal points we want. We want 0 decimal points. Okay, so we go OK, and we can see how that changes now. And it gives us that. So we can just copy that all the way down. And we can do the same thing as we did before in here. But remember, you have to play on large unit size if you do it this way, and not in ultra. We can leave this can all just stay the same now, because the max unit size, this unit will be changed to 160 anyway when you go to large, so that stays. And having these here will ensure that there are 2 ships, because once this unit has more than 160 men in it, the ships will go to 2. So we can save that, and we're all done. Next part we need to do for the changing unit sizes is to deal with the number of horses in a unit, and the number of animals and chariots and all that kind of stuff. And that's all done in land units. So let's I generally create a spreadsheet like this, and then I'll keep it stored somewhere. So each time I want to do update the mod or do new units, I can just copy paste directly into it. So because I'm going to keep using it, we can rename the sheet here, main units. Okay, and the next one we're going to do will be our land units editing. So land units. Okay. Now in land units, I don't know if we have cavalry. Okay, these are the two columns we're dealing with. The number of animals, which refers to war dogs pretty much, only the war dog units, and the number of mounts, which is for elephants and chariots and cavalry, of course. And like we did with the main units, we're going to grab the table from vanilla because it has all the different types in there, whereas our one, it doesn't have any it doesn't use those columns at all. So let's go in there and grab land units. Save it, rename it, just like we did with main units. Okay. Now, first things we're going to do is we're going to grab those two columns. You can even name the columns if we want, animal and mounts. So let's grab the animals column. Control Shift and push the down key to do it quickly, select everything, and we'll paste it in there. Or for this one, if we're going the other way, we Control Shift up. Paste it in there as well. Now with mounts, animals is where the war dogs is set, and that's just a simple ×2 for what we want to do. But with the mounts, the way that cavalry are treated is different to the way that we'll treat chariots. With the mounts, the number here for chariots determines how many horses are attached to each chariot, and not the total number of horses. With cavalry, the number here is how many horses are attached to that unit. So if we've increased the number of men in the unit in main units to 160, then we have to increase the number of horses as well to 160, otherwise half of them will be without horses. With chariots, however, we don't have to change that at all, because the chariot, this is only how many horses per chariot, so if we double that, then there'll be too many horses for each chariot and it'll bug out. With elephants, we do increase the number of elephants because that is the actual number of animals in the unit. And so they're pretty much the only concerns to take into consideration when you're increasing the unit sizes for those kinds of units. Now the max, if you click up here, you can see the variants and types of mounts. And 4 is the maximum number of horses attached to any chariot. When we get to 12, we start talking about elephants. So we need to create a formula so that we don't double the size of the chariot mounts, but we do double the size of anything that's not a chariot. And the animal one is just a simple ×2. So we can put in here our multiplier, again like we did before. And we'll say 2, just as we did in the other table. And then we put in our formula. Okay, so we're going to have two results and 2 formulas. Actually, so we're going to put animals formula, mounts formula, so animal 1's easy, equals that times our multiplier. Oops. put in a multiply sign instead of a number sign, a dollar sign. Okay. And we can just click and drag that down. And select all that again, except for the top one. Paste it in there, and you'll see that only the war dogs. There you go, 160 for the war dogs. There you go. Anyway, and the mounts is going to be a little different. So we're going to go equals. Now we know that 4 is the number of horses. So if is the formula. If this cell, the number of mounts, is greater than, so we use this symbol, say anything between 4 and 12. So let's just say 6. I'm going to use the semicolon or comma if you're using Excel. So if it's, which means if it's not a chariot, then we want to double it, equals that times this multiplier, add in the dollar symbols, and go back to the end and semicolon and comma. If it is a chariot, we just want to keep it the same, so you can click on there, close the brackets, and drag it down. And we can copy paste that as well. Control V, and now you can see all the number of mounts has been increased for vanilla as well. And that's all there is to it. If I were you, I'd keep those that spreadsheet saved, and then you can just, if you have to delete or create a new unit table, then just copy paste it in there and you're done easily. Or if there's an update to the game and more units are added, you can just delete that table, re-add it, and then put it straight back into your spreadsheet. Alright, well thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.